Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick Riviera. Well, if it isn't my old friend, Mr. McGreg, with a leg for an arm and an arm for a leg. Anyway, hello, everybody. Today is Thursday, March 21st. I need to work on my Dr. Nick. That was terrible.
You and your obscure... Is that Simpsons? My goodness, Brian.
Blake was just grilling me off air as we're getting the show prep ready, grilling me for not being up to snuff on classic rock. And I'm like, Blake, how are you not up to snuff on The Simpsons and pop culture? I am full of obscure references, but like, it's only the most popular show in the history of like comedy.
Right, so, but they don't play it on FM radio, do they? Like, I've heard that song 1,000 times. Let the Good Times Roll by the Cars. I figured everybody's heard that at least 1,000 times. If you're just casually listening to radio anywhere, especially, you know, we're both north of 40, Brian. So I would have thought that would have been obvious. But yeah, I did get the Simpsons reference, but I'm not a geek level savant as you are, Brian.
Savant is a good way to say that. I think savant is like a positive spin on nerd.
Yeah.
That's a savant. I'll take that. But you know, that is a very interesting point, a very important point. The verbiage that we choose to use on a daily basis, you know, the self-talk. I've seen people say, look at yourself in the mirror once a day when you wake up and brush your teeth, and brush your teeth with your left hand, stare into your eyeballs and see the universe inside the pupils, the irises, and say that you love yourself 10 times. Brush with your left hand and you'll totally rewire your brain. So we do need to speak positivity to ourselves, even if we're going through some shit, and even if we're not really living up to the expectations that others had on us, or maybe maybe if we know that we're not firing to our full potential, we should still be supportive and loving to ourselves. If we let that negative self-talk creep in, you know, it can cause some damage. It can be toxic. It can be really poisonous. So it's important that we pick the right words to use. So yeah, I like that. I like savant as opposed to nerd. So yes,
nerd alert.
Nerd alert. Kenneth, is this where I find that nude American media? Yes, the nude American media. You know what? I think I'm going to sign up for an OnlyFans page. We'll have to figure out a funny way to turn that into something, but I'll do that on a OnlyFans page. But if you really do want to support the show, go to patreon.com/the new American media, buy us a cup of coffee each month. That would be awesome. Or if you're an angel investor, $10,000 a month, because you have more money than you have time. And we're just going to fight for you. We should make like one of those cheesy commercials where it's like, Better Call Saul, we'll fight for you. Are you tired of tuning into the media only to hear lie after lie after lie? Join the new American media because we'll fight for you. Brought to you by Saul Goodman. You've watched Saul Goodman and Better Call Saul and all those, right?
Oh, of course. And speaking of coffee.
It's not too obscure of a reference for you to get. Not too obscure.
Well, that's pretty basic. Right. Do they still make Simpsons? I don't even know.
I just shared this thing. Did you
snipe it from me?
I shared it to somebody else. I don't know where I saw it. I just saw it.
All right, we should watch this. It's a quick video. It's 1 minute from our friends across the pond who drink tea. But
okay,
yes,
wait, hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
Is this related to Better Call Saul? Because I'm trying to find the connection.
No, you were talking about coffee. Buy us a cup of coffee on Patreon, and it reminded me of this guy drinking coffee.
I'm drinking water today.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a quick 1 minute clip, but it's hilarious. Let's give it a rip.
Yeah.
As a Brit, I can't believe I'm making this video, but I'm making it. I've been in America now a lot of times, okay? I've been here now for 3 weeks, and something has happened. Something has happened that I never thought would happen, okay? I have now become addicted to something in America, and now I know why Americans love it. Are you ready? Coffee. Coffee! I'm now addicted to coffee, right? I'm British. This is what we do.
British.
Oh, but it does taste good. I now can't function without my coffee. Oh, I wake up in the morning. What's the first thing I think of? Not tea, not the Queen, coffee. America,
Queen.
what have you done to me? You are turning me into an American. Look, coffee. Oh, I love it. Oh, the way it just flows through your veins and you wake up and you become alive. I cannot function now without my coffee. I love it.
Okay.
How many times have you ever woke up thinking about the Queen, by the way, while we're at it?
Well, since I am an American, never. I don't think that's ever happened. Maybe once.
Yeah, well, you know, part of the male physiology is we will often wake up ready to go. We will wake up ready to go. It's part of the male physiology. But I've never woken up with a hard-on for the Queen. I'll tell you that much. Not a single time in my life. Now, have you ever woken up with a hard-on for coffee and caffeine? I mean, probably. I mean, just like kind of raging, just like raw blood pulsing through my soul. Just coffee now. That was the phrase that Clint would use all the time. My college roommate, coffee now. That
stuff is like crack cocaine, man. Those gigantic Dunkin' Donuts with the iced coffee and who knows how many shots are in there of espresso and sugar and cream, sweet cream. Yeah, that'll wire you up. That dude was like he was wired on cocaine. It was crazy, but it was hilarious.
Well, by the way, if we're into obscure references, the coffee now. That is a reference to the cult classic early 90s comedy movie starring Jeremy Piven and David Spade. Blake, do you know this one?
I do not.
Jeremy Piven, PCU.
Oh, I do remember that movie. I don't think it's
Correct University.
Right.
What a
I got invited to bartend at Jeremy Piven's birthday party, but I had already left California.
Oh, that
would have been cool.
Great. Yeah, the whole Entourage crew. And that's where I used to work. I used to work at William Morris, and I guess that was loosely based on Ari Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel's brother, the former Obama chief of staff who took over Chicago for a bit. Never missed an opportunity to take advantage of a crisis, he said. But yeah, it was Ari Emanuel who was working at William Morris. He was high up at William Morris. He ran William Morris, one of those. But yeah, I loved that show. I just loved because I used to work there. So it's not like it was exact, but it was kind of, you read about David Geffen starting off in the mail room and delivering things. It's like, I did that too. He put that in his book. It was kind of fun. So anyway, I do have
an HBO clip. Speaking of which, I do have an HBO clip that will probably set off a copyright later, but it's a good reference to one of the stories on the stack today.
Oh, okay. It'll only set it off if we don't provide commentary. We have to provide commentary on the piece.
Okay, yeah, we can stop it wherever. We'll talk over it, and yeah, we're also promoting it because it's a fantastic show. Everybody should see.
That is true. That is true. And I will just say about those Dunkin' coffees. Yes, I've definitely been exposed to several of these Dunkin' coffees with the cream and extra sugar, perhaps. And yeah, I mean, these ginormous jugs. And by the way, I did read somewhere, I don't know if it's true or not, but they said that wherever this source was, they were concerned about the glyphosate levels in the Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Now, I don't know how fair it is to just pin that on Dunkin' versus all coffee, but it's something worth considering. I mean, I don't think we'd do a shot of glyphosate. It's one thing to smash some vodka or some Irish whiskey around St. Patrick's Day. Blake, did you do anything fun for St. Patty's, or were you gearing up for March Madness?
I did not drink on St. Patty's, but as a half Irish guy, I did make corned beef and cabbage, and I smoked a lot of weed. So I did have my green. So I did get inebriated, but not on alcohol.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've said it before. I love
my corned beef and cabbage, man. That's good stuff. Had it again last night.
I was at Trader Joe's looking for the corned beef, and I know where they normally sell it. I know that it's there this time of year. Nowhere to be seen. It wasn't even like sold out. It just wasn't on the shelves. I'm like, I wanted corned beef in the worst way. Anyway.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. I braised it in the oven for like 4 hours. Just falls apart. Make it a pressure cooker too. Yeah.
Low and slow. Well, Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. My name is Brian Engelman. See, you made me reverse the mirror. I normally point at you, but now I got to point away from you to get to you. That's TV's Blake Walley. Follow him on X at TV's Blake, Walley, and the Next Level News as well. Find the Agree to Disagree show and the New American Media in all of the places, because we fully expect that YouTube and Facebook will screw us again because it's an election year. So find us on Rumble, on Telegram at TNAM and TNAM Chat, on Spotify, the Agree to Disagree show, on Truth Social, the New American Media. Hit us in all the places, Instagram, Facebook, get us, and then just be ready for half of those sites to call us disinformation while they keep lying through their teeth at us. On today's program, we are going to discuss the following things. We're going to talk about, Blake, did you ever hear a song that goes something like Mr. Dabalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina? You ever heard that?
No, I don't know.
I'm going to have to look that up, because every time I hear the name Tony Bobulinski, Mr. Tone Bobulinski, the song plays in my head. It's like a hip hop song or something. I gotta find it, but we're going to discuss Tony Bobulinski. I thought it would be better to say Bobulinski broke the bribed and blackmailed Bidens, but that would be way too long of a title. But I know how you love the alliterations.
I kind of like it. I love my alliterations.
Oh, you love alliterations, like the best. They're the best thing, the best literary device on planet Earth. I don't disagree. I think they're fun. It's one of the first things you learn, and one of the first things you start testing as far as you can take it. But we're going to talk about Bobulinski. RICO is not a crime. We'll get to her. Speaking of baristas and coffees, we're also going to talk about this omnibus bill. No, omnibus is not the name of a transformer. Omnibus is just kind of like the overarching strategy that you take to fund a nation. And we are, I think, every 100 days we're adding $1 trillion in debt. To the I don't know, to the debt, I guess you just call it. But I mean, we are in a debt spiral. If a gambler was this in debt to the mob, his kneecaps would have been broken by now. This is bad. And you wonder how Biden is so blackmailed. It's because China owns him. How is this happening? It's Congress is owned. They're bribed and blackmailed. It's all falling apart at the seams. We're going to discuss this omnibus. What would our forefathers do? We're also going to talk about illegal alien invaders. Blake was close to getting that title correctly. I think he said illegal invaders, but we had to add alien to it. But should they be able to take advantage of tax squatting laws? Because it seems like it's happening. And I will tell you, it is one of the main reasons why I fled from Los Angeles. I could not appreciate a normal set of circumstances where I could consider renting from a far distance when they wouldn't protect the owners of properties. New York is doing it too. We'll discuss. Also, Trump and Letitia James. Is she ready to start stealing his shit? I mean, it kind of seems like it. So we're going to discuss, what does that mean? Every day, Chubb is trending on X. And as a Cleveland Browns fan, I'm like, oh, what happened with Nick Chubb? Is he back? How's the rehab going? Is he squatting 700 pounds again? And then it's the Chubb bank or investment to put up the bond for Trump, and then the Chubb group was going to, then they weren't. So I keep getting tricked by the trending topics on X. But yeah, it's all about Trump and Letitia James trying to steal his stuff. We're also going to talk about President Trump, former president and future president. Some say current president. Who should he pick for vice president? There's a short list, and it's getting shorter. I don't know how I feel about this latest.
I heard it's getting longer. Well, we'll get to that.
That's what she said. Also, we're going to talk about Planet Fitness. Yes, Planet Fitness. Should we rush over there and sign up and support that company? Are they under some sort of, campaign to ruin their business model? And we should support a great American company and the values that we hold near and dear to our hearts? Or should people be canceling their memberships? And finally, should we shut down completely one of these social media companies because of conspiracies? No, we're not talking about Facebook and YouTube, the largest purveyors of fake news. We're talking about the one that lets people speak freely. So anyway, we'll get into all these topics and probably a couple of others as they come up on today's program. Here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you to Ken when I said illegal alien invaders. He goes, Fonzie says, hey, Lians. All right. It's a stretch, but I like it. Okay. First topic of the day, Blakenstein. Should Tony Bobulinski, did Tony Bobulinski break the Democrats and the Biden crime family? Agree or disagree?
I'm going to have to agree. Now, we still have to wait for the entire fallout here, but it was a very exciting day up on Capitol Hill. And it looked like Bobulinski did break a couple of those guys. Mainly AOC for sure, and then Raskin, and we could probably go down the list. I haven't even seen all of the clips, but some of them were pretty bombshell and explosive. Of course, Hunter Biden did not show up. Not that we should be surprised. But yeah, it's kind of where reality met fantasy in a few of those contentious showdowns here. So, Brian, do you have something to share there?
I'm going to cue it up. Please.
You're getting it ready.
Call you. Yeah, getting it ready.
Okay.
Please continue.
It's all good. All right, I'll just pull up the first one out of here is just the news. So the first public hearing in the House Republicans' impeachment inquiry into President Biden wrapped up Wednesday after two former business partners of Hunter Biden testified extensively about their experiences, primarily reiterating claims made in their closed-door interviews that the Biden family patriarch was involved in various ways in his son's dealing with foreign clients. Now, these allegations are in stark contrast to repeated assertions by President Biden and his White House team to the contrary. So, this is according to old Joe. He said, first of all, I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period. That's what he said on the campaign trail in August of 2019. Of course he did back then. So, but there might have been some contradictory statements yesterday, but he went on to say at that time, there will be an absolute wall between the personal and private and the government. There wasn't any hint of scandal at all when we were there, and I will impose the same kind of strict rules. This is why, so Joe is so principled. He was like, no, we're never going to do anything like that. But he says, I will impose the same kind of strict rules. That is, I have never talked with my son or my brother or anyone else in the distant family about their businesses, period. So, the committee is still struggling to get answers directly from the Bidens in order to address the discrepancies between their partner's testimony and the Bidens. Hunter, of course, refused to appear, creating another obstacle for the probe. Yeah, you'd think he would be there to refute Tony Bobulinski to his face, call him a liar, and shame on him for dishonoring him and his father, the wonderful statesman who serves this country. The first son reversed course from his previous demands to testify in public, telling the committee he would not appear at the hearing. And he's got a scheduling conflict with Hunter Biden's upcoming court date in California, where he's charged with 9 counts of tax violations.
Now, you know what? Let me just pause there for 1 second. Number one, Kenneth is saying Bobulinski. Okay, that's a good one. I will play this because then I can get it out of my head and put it into yours real quick. But I mainly wanted to talk about, I'm hearing rumors that Hunter Biden is going to get charged for overinflating the value of his artwork, pulling a trick out of the go after Trump category. You know, it's like if they're doing it on one side, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I suppose we've entered just a totally weird new world order where anything goes and crazy is the commonplace. Anyway, I'm going to play this real quick just to get it out of my head so I don't have to keep thinking about it while I'm thinking of these other things. This is Mr. Bobulinski.
Right, here we go. It's from 33 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't everybody know this? It's from Del and the Funky Homo Sapien. Here, I'll just play you the first.
Oh, I remember them. Yeah.
Beginning part of this.
Yo, man, I don't think they heard you. Why don't you tell them what your name is?
Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina, Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob
there we
Doubleina.
Go. Mr. Bobulinski, Mr. Bob Bobulinski.
Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina.
There you go. Mr. Bobulinski, Mr. Tony Bobulinski. Bobulinski, Doubleina. Like you hear how it's like similar cadence-wise.
Man, I don't know if I remember that one. I was thinking
You don't
like
know
Hey
Mr.
Macarena.
Dabalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina?
I used to watch Yo MTV Raps. That would have been right around that time where I was kind of in the rap to heavy metal transition from, yeah. But I don't quite remember that one. Maybe I'd have to hear the rest of it. But good stuff. Okay, that was pretty close.
Mr. Bobulinski, Mr. Tony Bobulinski.
Yeah, all right, very good.
So I just think
let's
it's going to be super interesting if they go after Hunter for overinflating the value of his paintings, because obviously his paintings are bribes as well. He's no painter. These are bribes and kickbacks. This is money laundering in plain sight, with a wink and a nod and a tip of the champagne glass. It's so stupid. We all fucking see it. We all see it in front of our eyes. They go after Trump on 100 fake things, and people just pretend they know it's not true, but they just, I don't know, they want to kill it. They want to ruin him so badly. They don't care. But when things are literally in front of their face, they just pretend they're not there. Oh, there's a giant pink elephant in the room. I'm not, is there? I don't know. I mean, what is a living room anyway? How do you color? Maybe we're colorblind. Aren't we a colorblind? Like the people that are defending any of these Democrats, I mean, they are broken, or they have sold their soul repeatedly. There's no intellectually honest person that can look at the Democrats and that Democrat Party. By the way, this is not an endorsement of the Republicans. I am no fan of the Republicans, and we're going to get to that with Speaker Johnson in this omnibus cluster F. But I just, in this day and age, I don't know how you can, with a straight face, be a Jamie Raskin or be a anybody. AOC. Yeah, the super clowns of the Democrats. But the one thing the Republicans should have learned by now, why don't you at least act like them? Why don't you at least circle your wagons around your dirtbags? But no, you'll kick your people out of Congress, and then you'll have stuff going on in Colorado where you're going to lose seats.
That gives us credibility, right? We get rid of George, what's his name? And he was bad news. He was a total pathological liar and a goofball. So at least that we're like they're policing their own.
George Santos.
Yeah.
But Santos. You only do Santos if you do Menendez in Jersey. You don't cut off one of your hands and go, all right, now you do it. No. You put them both down, you lock them down at the wrist, and you take them both off at the same time.
Right, but doesn't that give them credibility, though? So the Republicans are saying, that guy's bad news. Let's get rid of him. And now the Democrats should get rid of Menendez, get rid of AOC, and try to gain their credibility. But they never do. They're more of a cult. So I don't think I want to play the same game they do.
Don't fight like they do. You're in a ring and you're getting punched below the belt. You got to swing the way that it's happening. I don't know. I just
agree to disagree. Right.
I don't get it. I don't get why the Republicans will not fight to win, and why Speaker Johnson would dump an omnibus bill on the desk with 24 hours to read it and expect anyone to give it a thumbs up without extreme rage. But anyway, back to the top story here. Let's hear from Mr. Bobulinski, Mr. Tony Bobulinski.
Yeah, and this is Greenwald brings up a great point here. The reason it was vital to first mock and then ignore Tony Bobulinski is because he presented definitive evidence before the 2020 election that the reported documents on Hunter Biden's laptop were genuine. But at that same time, that was when the media was telling Americans that it was all Russian disinformation. So, and then here's where reality met fantasy. And we do pull up, this is a great clip and it does have Raskin in it. So let's watch this.
Yet the same people preaching this mantra know better. They continue to lie directly to the American people without hesitation and remorse. Rep. Dan Goldman and Jamie Raskin, both lawyers, and Mr. Goldman, a former prosecutor with the SDNY from New York, will continue to lie today in this hearing and then go straight to the media to tell more lies. Hunter Biden's defense attorney,
boom, bombshells, just calling them liars right to their face.
Abby Lowell, weaponizes letters to Congress to try to smear my name
Mr. Chairman,
misstate the cold hard facts.
Mr. Chairman,
in an attempt to save his powerfully connected client and his
he's on a roll and they're interrupting him.
Father. I challenge Mr. Lowell to make those claims on national television so he can be held accountable for his lies. Prior to my successful business career, I was an officer in the United States Navy. At Navy's elite Naval Nuclear Power Training Command, I later served as the command's chief technology officer.
Proceed. I apologize for the disruption from the.
Okay. Am I supposed to say it's my time?
Look at the body language on Raskin here. He knows he
What a-
was just
what a
called out as
smarmy.
an absolute liar.
Smarmy.
Yep. He's got to be squirming. Probably pooping himself a little.
Who's that one? Who's that Humpty Dumpty guy that did that?
I can't remember. Oh, is it Nadler?
Yes, Nadler. And yeah, he's
Old
like Humpty
Jerry,
Dumpty or the
yeah.
Penguin.
Oh, he's awful. Yeah.
What was that Saturday Night Live skit? Oops, I crapped my pants. Yeah, that was.
Ooh, that's another old reference. Yeah, that was another 90s reference.
I'm full of weird references.
Yeah. All right. It's all good.
So Raskin was interrupting him multiple times, but then he stopped.
Yeah, so let's see here, and he's gonna talk here briefly. At least he doesn't have wearing that stupid do-rag thing.
But please, Mr. Bobulinski, please
Okay.
come to order. Mr. Bobulinski, please proceed.
Okay.
Please proceed. I apologize for the
Hold on,
disruption from the minority.
Hold on. Can you rewind it 10 seconds? I believe he said Mr. Bobulinski, I think he said it almost like Mr. Dabalina twice, just like 6 seconds ago. Mr. Bobulinski, Mr. Tony Bobulinski.
Mr. Bobulinski, please
Okay.
come to
Okay. Am I supposed to say it's my time, Mr. Raskin?
Yeah. But please, Mr. Bobulinski, please
Okay.
come to order. Mr. Bobulinski, please proceed. Please proceed. I apologize for the disruption from the minority.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it saved his time, but he called members of this committee liars, and I just want to know whether the order and decorum requirements of House Rule 11 apply to witnesses appearing before the committee. Does it apply or does it not?
Should I address? I don't.
Just start talking, Mr. Bobulinski.
He looks really nervous. And I mean, why didn't you just say, I don't know. How dare you call me a liar? We'll see who's the liar after this committee's hearing is over.
And by the way, this is like an OnlyFans model who they show their balloon knot for $5 on the internet, and then they're pretending to clutch their pearls. I can't believe President Trump said to grab them by the. I show my balloon knot on OnlyFans for $5 a month. I can't believe the president. I'm so triggered. I can't believe we're going in a society that has a president. They would see such things. It's like, the wacky left is so out of control. They are such bad actors. I mean, spare me.
Oh, it's a clown show. Yeah, with Pelosi or Adam Schiff. I mean, the characters, Chucky Schumer, they're an embarrassment. I don't know anybody. And this Raskin, I don't know where he came from, but he's been a prominent figure in the last couple of years. He's emerged.
He looks
apologists and goofball activists.
He looks like an associate of Saul Goodman. He really does.
What?
He looks like an associate of Saul Goodman. He looks like a slime ball.
Oh, yeah, he's total. Yes, something's very wrong. He's got some major dirt on this guy. Who knows what he's hiding? But something ain't right. So here he is.
All right, they're going over the rules.
There's decorum.
I didn't finalize my thought. I was talking about the balloon knot. I got off track. I was just saying, like, a member of Congress who whores themselves out to the highest bidder, and then I can't believe he called me a liar. He called me a liar. I want a ruling on this. He called me a liar. It's like scare me, balloon knot, Raskin. Come on.
Oh yeah, no, it's pathetic watching him grovel here. So there's not much left
from the members. We've asked for that. There's no language that I'm aware of pertaining to a witness.
Thank you.
Thank you for your interruption, Raskin. Oh, he's going to look at him. Oh, look at that stare. I'm sure Tony Bobulinski's really freaking out.
Mr. Tony Bobulinski.
Sure, we didn't waste any of his time on the opening statement. Mr. Bobulinski, I'm sorry for the disruption. Please continue your opening statement.
I think Mr. Raskin,
We'll make sure it's right. We'll make sure.
Okay, great. I just want to restate, make sure the American people hear all these facts. Abby Lowell.
Okay, well, that is the end of that clip. Got a few more. We won't run them too long. Well, here's one.
Let's hear what's going on. Let's distill it down to some of the finer points. And, this needs to be heard. You're not going to find this on MSNBC. You'll find AOC up there saying, RICO isn't a crime. RICO's fine. Unless you're in Georgia and you're going after Trump, but RICO's not a crime. Like, that's all you'll hear on this from the left. You won't see any of the other stuff. So let's dig in.
Oh, they got to do some very, very careful cherry picking with this stuff, because Tony Bobulinski's a serious dude, and they really are serious people.
He's got a cartoony sounding name, but he's a very serious dude with bona fides, for sure.
Yeah, he is highly credible where they are not. So here we go. Is a quick clip here.
No. You personally, do you believe he should be impeached?
I do.
Okay, and you believe that because you believe Chairman Comer has proven that he committed a high crime and misdemeanor?
No, because I know that he committed high crimes and misdemeanors.
Okay.
And he has got his I's dotted and his T's crossed. He is very serious. He knows what he's doing, and the Democrats are panicking.
I was involved and saw them happen.
Right, but obviously, no. You personally.
All right, let's go on. Yeah, it's I called out one of these clowns last night on Twitter, and I got zero pushback on it. That I have an issue with Kevin Drum. He's used to work for Mother Jones, one of the hacks, flacks, and lackeys that I follow and troll occasionally. And he was asking, is James Comer the stupidest person in Congress? I know the competition is stiff, but this is the way that they tried to frame this. And it's pretty pathetic that they're going to try to twist this on the Republicans, but that's for their stupid audience. And then I responded, AOC is in a league of her own. So, of course, let's watch. And you're not seeing anything pushback from here, from either Kevin or any of his followers. And for good reason.
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business.
Did you?
So here is, the AOC is like a 7-year-old playing pretend like she's a grown-up politician going after a grown man who's, a serious player in this, calling out the Biden crime family. And she is so overmatched, she doesn't know what to do except continually interrupt like a child. But here he goes. It'd be amusing if it wasn't so. This wasn't real. This is like a Saturday Night Live skit all on itself.
You witnessed the president commit a crime. Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO, and conspiracy.
What is the crime, sir?
You
specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse me, sir. Excuse
me, AOC. They should just remove her. She's not qualified to be in Congress. This is an embarrassment.
You know who she reminds me of when she talks? She sounds like Kamala Harris. Specifically.
A little bit, yeah.
Allegedly. Like they have this thing where every syllable comes out really weird. Every syllable, specifically. Like there's a cadence. There's like a muted, muffled, like back of the throat kind of specifically. Like they kind of have the same timbre in their voice. Specifically, I don't know. It's just I can't unhear it, and I can't stop comparing Kamala to AOC.
But they're out of their league, and he's got 50 IQ points on her. She's totally overmatched, and she has no idea what to do. And and it showed. And then she basically stopped. But we'll run the end of the clip here because there isn't much. Not over a whole 5 minutes. This is only getting about a minute of it.
Sir, excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is.
Look at my neck.
Oh my God.
It's a category.
RICO is not a crime. I can't do that neck thing. I wish I could do the neck thing.
Trying to act like she's the smart one, and it's not working. And it's really backfiring as he's pushing back.
What is
It's
the
a category of crimes that you're then charged.
You have charges.
A long 100.
You have charges.
But she won't let him finish.
Sir,
Can't let
please
the
name.
exact statute
Sir,
under RICO.
yes.
Well, it's funny. In this committee room, everyone's not here. There's over 8
All right, sir, I reclaim my
lawyers that
I
went to law
reclaim my
school.
time. I
I'll leave
reclaim
it up.
She gives up her time. Wow. So she just got slaughtered. That should be the end of her career right there. They should never let her on another committee or be in any kind of position. But it just shows you how embarrassing the Democrats are.
So is the left sharing the same quote? Like they say, the two movies are playing on the same screen. Are people on the left sharing this quote like they owned Bobulinski on this? Or are they embarrassed by this interaction? Are they like, AOC asked him directly and he couldn't answer it with anything? Like, are they sharing it as a win?
Not that I have seen. I think they're just pretending like this one didn't happen. Now, there's another one coming up with Gates, who was, roasting the credibility of the Democrats' witness, I guess. We'll pull that one up because that's going to be coming. Oh, yeah, that is actually the next one I had. So is Matt Gates saying Democrats could have sent anyone to refute the direct evidence of Joe and Hunter Biden's corruption. Instead, they sent this guy, Lev Parnas, a man charged with enough campaign finance crimes to serve 50 years. It says Tony Bobulinski exposed the Biden crime family today. And yes, the Democrats were broken. But let's roll some of this clip.
The Democrats could have sent anyone. They could have sent Hunter Biden. They could have sent Joe Biden. They could have sent...
There's an empty chair where Hunter Biden could have sat to defend himself. And I don't know, I didn't see the beginning. I don't know if these seats are supposed to be occupied. I don't know. I'm wondering
if Mr. Tony Bobulinski, he referenced how many people were missing from the hearing. He said that while AOC kept interrupting him, he was definitely taking the time to say, like, I know there's a lot of attorneys in here, like why all these empty seats? And she kept interrupting as he was doing that. But yeah, I mean, it sure seems like nobody's there. But it also kind of reminds me of when Ron Paul was supposed to give his speech in Florida, right? It was Jacksonville at the Republican convention, and they literally traded his speech for an empty chair. They brought up Clint Eastwood, and he did a little empty chair skit about Obama, and they didn't let Ron Paul talk.
I remember what you're talking about. I don't know if that was Ron Paul or who it was. It was somebody trying to interview Obama, right?
No, it was that he won a plurality of delegates. Yeah. He earned the right per the RNC rules to get on stage, and he had his 15 minutes or his 5 minutes, whatever it would be. He earned that. He had a plurality of states. He got enough delegates, and then they sent him and they delayed it. Then they sent his bus, and it got lost in the wrong spot. So they
pulled lawyer tricks.
And then Clint Eastwood literally brought up an empty chair to talk to. So where Ron Paul should have been, the RNC flipped their middle finger at the people who liked Ron Paul and said,
well, they changed the rules at the last minute. Chair. Right. Well, it was required. You had to win at least 5 states in order to win the nomination with the delegate process. That's what he did. And Nevada was one of those states. But they changed the rules at the last minute and made it 8 minimum. And then John Boehner tried to, pass that through the RNC convention, calling it for ayes and nays. They pulled some shenanigans right at the very end there. And it was clearly that they voted against it. But, John Boehner pushed it through anyway. And they screwed Ron Paul at the convention. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, definitely a lot of empty seats there in Congress. You're right to point that out.
Yes, I don't know if it was like a protest by the radical left, but I don't. Yeah, it's interesting to notice that a lot of people aren't there that should have been there, but they're not taking this seriously. And this is it could be the great unraveling of the Biden administration, and it should be. If at the very least, it should prevent him from running again. So here we'll roll some more of this clip, and we'll show just how bad the Democrats had nobody to bring up for their side of the defense.
Rob Walker, they could have sent Devin Archer. The Democrats could have sought any person to come and refute the direct evidence backed up by bank statements, backed up by calendar entries, backed up by emails, backed up by text messages. And who did the Democrats send to clear the name of Joe and Hunter Biden? They sent Lev Parnas. Lev Parnas, who was charged with enough crimes and violating our campaign finance laws to, serve 50 years, but he gets 4 months. And the big, grand criminal conspiracy Mr. Parnas is involved in is using Russian oligarch money to try to get marijuana licenses, which seems odd, and then using that Russian money to plow into campaigns in order to achieve that objective. But the fraud he committed wasn't just on our election system by plowing Russian money, it was also a fraud on his own investors who didn't get it. So I guess, Mr. Bobulinski, as you hear Maxwell Frost, my colleague on the Democrat side, say that Mr. Parnas, fresh off of his prison time, is the most credible witness we've had to address these business dealings, what's your reaction to that?
I think it's laughable that the Democrats are asking Lev Parnas to weigh in on my credibility, a convicted felon that served jail time. I have an impeccable record. Now, he warned me earlier in this hearing that they're coming for me. I look forward to that.
I said just keep talking. You'll be there soon.
I look forward to that, Mr. Parnas.
Keep lying. You'll be there soon.
Well,
is that a threat, Mr. Parnas?
No,
That is a bombshell in itself, that Bobulinski was allegedly threatened.
So he said,
the deep state swamp creatures.
What was that exactly? What'll be there soon? Like, how did? Can you play that last one more time? It kind of blurred. They were talking over each other, and I didn't quite catch what he said.
Witness we've had to address these business dealings. What's your reaction to that?
I think it's laughable that the Democrats are asking Lev Parnas to weigh in on my credibility, a convicted felon that served jail time. I have an impeccable record. Now, he warned me earlier in this hearing that they're coming for me. I look forward to that.
I said just keep talking. You'll be there soon.
I look forward to that, Mr. Parnas.
Keep lying. You'll be there soon.
Well, is
that a threat, Mr. Parnas?
No, it's just the truth.
No, did you say they were coming for me?
No, I said if you keep lying, you will end up in prison.
I'm not lying. You're the one who was lying.
You have nothing to say.
You're the one who went to prison
for lying.
for
What am I
lying.
lying for? Tell me what we're lying for, Mr. Bobulinski. You don't even know what you're talking about. What am I lying?
You went to prison for lying and defrauding your investors.
What am I lying here? What am I lying here?
Oh, the list is long. We don't have enough time. I think Mr. Gates only has a minute.
I think you're a little scared, just like
So
Mr.
one
Gates.
crime
Because Mr. Gates doesn't even ask a question. You're filibustering. I've been here for 6 hours, and not one of your committee members has asked me one question. You want to hear the truth?
I asked a question about your illegal business
I've been
dealings.
here for 7 hours.
Mr. Bobulinski,
ask me some questions.
Fraud is a crime, right?
Go ahead. Ask
More like filibustering on the time, but this is maybe one of the clips where some of these leftists were trying to act like Parnas was some kind of a credible guy, but it's these like weird looking like sock puppet accounts. So Tony Bobulinski's going to go to jail, and Lev Parnas humiliated you. Or wow, I guess you were a different hearing. The one I saw where Lev Parnas ate your lunch. So there's a lot of these are like sock puppets and shills that are trying to fight back. But as Gates pointed out, Lev Parnas does not have any credibility. Bobulinski certainly does, a distinguished guy. So that was the only clip that I saw, but I didn't watch a lot of the leftists on Twitter yesterday, so I'm curious. They're trying to spin it, and as I showed you that hack from Mother Jones, and he's just basically trying to say, James Comer must be the stupidest guy. Because a lot of those people, they're not watching this, so they don't want to believe this, and they're not going to give Bobulinski the time of day. They're not going to look at it objectively. They're going to look at it through whatever these social media influencers or whoever wants to, take a little clip here and there.
Right.
But,
well, let me play. Let me play this little clip here. This is Jim Jordan trying to really narrow down what are we talking about here. What is the accusation? Well, I think in this clip, it comes through pretty clear.
Corruption, really. So opposed, he leveraged $1 billion of American tax money to fire the prosecutor in Ukraine who was investigating Zolochevsky at Burisma, the company Hunter Biden sat on the board of.
By the way, let me just rewind that because that's a lot to take in, but this is exactly what we've been saying for a long time. In 2014, when Victoria Nuland, Obama, Biden overthrew the actual government in Ukraine, feels very similar to what happened in America in 2020. They set into action a chain of events, the dominoes clacking. And this is what Jim Jordan is talking about. when President Trump came in and he's like, yeah, look at all this corruption and money laundering and bribery and corruption in Ukraine, Pelosi and the Democrats impeached Trump for calling out all of the corruption of Biden. That's literally what he got impeached for. So this is what Jim Jordan is talking about. This is where we just jump into this conversation in midstream.
The ranking member just said that Joe Biden was opposed to corruption. Really? So opposed, he leveraged $1 billion of American tax money to fire the prosecutor in Ukraine who was investigating Zolochevsky at Burisma. They'll be Hunter Biden sat on the board of. Wow. And the prosecutor who replaced Shokin, that Mr. Parnas referenced in his opening statement, Mr. Lutsenko, guess what he did? He took Zolochevsky off the wanted list and dropped the charges. Wow, he's really, really opposed to corruption there. Mr. Bobulinski, who's the big guy? Joe Biden. Are you sure about that? Because when
Jordan, Joe Biden.
You sure?
I'm 1,000% sure.
Because when Hunter Biden did his deposition under oath, he said, I don't know who it is, even though he was copied on an email that said H will hold 10% for the big Biden.
1,000%. And there's other text messages that back that up, that the brave whistleblowers, Shapley and Ziegler, have produced, not from my phones, not from my BlackBerry that I took screenshots from. They took them from subpoenas directly from Apple's iCloud that back up the fact that Hunter knew the big guy was Joe Biden.
Brand, the big guy is the lift. The big guy is the one who showed up at golf outings, who took phone calls and meetings and lunches and dinners with Hunter Biden and his business associates. Is that right?
Correct.
And that's what this is all about, Blake. This is obvious to anyone who's impartially looking at what's going on. Hunter Biden's crackhead persona is not pulling off any deals of any significance. This guy is a complete train wreck. Everybody knows it. Look at the debauchery on his laptop that the 51 traitors in the CIA lied to you about to rig the 2020 election. By the way, go to CISA.gov/rumor control because they want you to hear a countervailing view that 2020 was the only secure election in America's history. It's the only election in global history that had no fraud because their side won. But of course, Democrats on the other side have complained almost every time a Republican wins that it was rigged and that there was fraud. But 2020 is different. They want you to know that. But yeah, 10% for the big guy. He's saying that Hunter's on deposition. He's given sworn deposition saying he does not know who the big guy is. There is no universe where he could actually not know that his dad he's dipping his beak 10% on everything that he helps push through. This is so obviously rotten to the core, Blake.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it should be very obvious to any neutral observer. And it's sad that we're so hyper partisan in this country that we can't gather together and act like adults. And it's sad that we're like so divided over what? Some corrupt career politician and his crackhead son? Are we really going to have a civil war over this? It's amazing. And
well, they're having a civil war in Ukraine because of their corruption. If they didn't overthrow the government in 2014 and put up the cross-dress, or was he cross-dressing? Yeah, he was cross-dressing. The comedian that played the piano with his penis. They're in the middle of a civil war in Ukraine, Russia. Obviously, Ukraine and Russia have had various overlapping, underlapping connections. Without
getting into the weeds, but yeah.
You could call it a civil war, but they're doing that on Biden's behalf. Trump tries to call it out like, wow, can you believe all this corruption? Yeah, we're going to impeach you for daring to shine light on our grossness. You know, and how many dead lives because of what Biden has done in Ukraine? How many lives have been lost? Families shattered forever because of their corruption with Burisma, the money laundering, all the Biden crime family. So this stuff is relevant, Blake. I think this stuff is very relevant.
Yeah, it's making the Democrats very uncomfortable. And I don't know if they're going to cover this. I don't know what comes next, but they absolutely have to impeach Joe for this. So there's a lot going on. This is maybe one last clip I will show and then we'll move on to the next story here. This kind of is little wrapping things up here at the very end. So here we go from Tony.
About Mr. Goldman, we don't pay any attention to Mr. Goldman either, but is there anything that anyone said up here that you want to take about 55 seconds to respond to?
It's tempting. I mean, my biggest appeal to everyone in this room is I wish you would spend the time focusing on the fact that the Chinese Communist Party infiltrated the White House of the United States of America through the Biden family. I don't say that lightly. It's not a joke. I was willing to die for this country, as was my father and both my grandfathers and my brother. This is serious, serious stuff. We should be asking how that happened. Take the Biden name and the Biden family completely out of it. How did the Chinese Communist Party infiltrate the White House of the United States of America? Let's start there, focus on those facts, what they did, how they did it, why they used money, why they used private enterprises instead of military stuff and other stuff. That is huge to our national security. So I appreciate you yielding that time to me, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you, and I'll just say this. Mr. Tlaib and Ms. Presley criticized the investigation, but I think most Americans care about public corruption, and they realize the FBI hasn't done the job, the DOJ hasn't done their job, the IRS hasn't done their job. They've been told to stand down. All that's left is the House Oversight Committee, and we will do our job. And pursuant to the previous order, because votes have been called again, the committee stands in recess subject to the call of the chair. The committee will reconvene 5 minutes after floor vote.
Okay, so there you go. Several explosive exchanges on the Hill.
Yep, and Hunter hides
Fantasy meets reality,
like the creepy coward he is. Yeah, I vacillate between wanting to take the Bidens out through this impeachment and just letting them have a chance to get absolutely shellacked, to borrow a phrase from Barack Hussein Obama in the 2024 election. Where I would anticipate all 50 states voting for Trump. I mean, there's no love for the Democrat Party anywhere. The people in New York and Chicago and I know that they're crazy in these places, but I really don't think they have support. I mean, Trudeau's getting ready to get bounced out in Canada. You've seen Javier Milei. You've seen all sorts of people rising up. I think the world is exposing these swamp creatures better than ever before.
Yeah, I think some other guys have stepped down. We didn't even get to that because there's so much going on. We can't even cover anything. But the Irish prime minister stepped down. I think there's a couple other prominent politicians that have also stepped down around there. So there could be a lot of things getting exposed, and that the deep state, the cabal, and they are failing. They are, getting exposed, and the corruption, and people are seeing that. And there's going to be a backlash, and these nationalistic movements going against these globalist operations,
right?
World Economic Forum. So there is a fight back for the freedom for the people.
All right. Well, let's continue the fight and talk about the rest of the news. Did you have everything wrapped up on Bobulinski, Mr. Tony Bobulinski?
Everything that I have so far, yeah. I think we're good.
All right. Yeah, and more will come out. More will come out, but it's important that we know his name. His name is Mr. Bobulinski, Mr. Tony Bobulinski. All right. Blake the Funky Homo Sapien. Would you agree or disagree that our forefathers would have tarred and feathered over this omnibus bill? Would our forefathers have tarred and feathered over omnibus? Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I don't know. I'm trying to imagine a scenario in which Congress tried to pass some insane amount of money. This is let me pull this story up here. DC Swamp, they released a $1.2 trillion spending bill, with over 1,000 pages. While we were sleeping, Brian, I was last night. I had no idea that there was a new spending bill, that the Congress was getting ready to spend $1.2 trillion more of our tax money. Obliviously, while I was sleeping, and now House only has 24 hours to review.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. that's just outrageous. It's pretty much the exact opposite of our founders' vision for this country. This is the kind of thing that they fought a revolution over. This is something that maybe the king would have done in England. Of course, they don't have a Congress. They don't have to go through that Parliament. But no, this would never happen. This was pretty much unthinkable back in those times. So if they would have tried to pull something like that, like, we're going to spend an insane amount of money and over 1,000 pages, and you've got 24 hours to read it. No, I think they absolutely would have tarred and feathered whoever did this and made an example of these politicians for doing so. And, if this country was, paying attention, maybe they would. Not saying that we should do that, but all of these people who were involved in this should be voted out of office just on principle. So they've set this precedent, and they've been doing this kind of thing for a long time now, and it's completely unfair. Like, none of these bills should be more than, I don't know, 100 pages, 10 pages? How about 10 pages? Some of you even said maybe less. I mean, there's a lot of things that they could be spending on. But to just ram everything all in one package, we don't know what's in it, and you want us to vote on it in 24 hours. You would need a massive staff, to all read at least these 10 people to read 100 pages, take notes. I mean, it's just, why wouldn't you give more time? Why does it have to be this big? Like, these are the people that should be, held to account and should be pulled up. Why would you think that they should be grilled with these questions in these committee hearings? Like, why would you think that this would be okay to spend $1 trillion of taxpayer money and give people less than 24 hours to read it? But yeah, I think our forefathers would have been a little bit more drastic. So yes, I'm saying they probably would have run for the tar and the feathers.
It's pure insanity. You hate even having some theoretical delineation between Republicans and Democrats when they pull this shit. It's mind-boggling that anybody could put something like this forward. I mean, if you are so far in debt, at some point, if your home is filling with sewage, you have to stop it from adding more sewage to it. You don't just keep passing bills that you can't afford. You can't keep spending on your credit card when you've been foreclosed on. Like, there has got to be some sort of, I think what America needs, Blake, America needs some sort of intervention. Like when somebody is really addicted to drugs or gambling, or it's usually alcohol, drugs, gambling, maybe sex addiction, maybe there's a couple of other things, but they'll hold an intervention and they bring loved ones around, but you kind of pull them aside and you're like, this cannot continue anymore. And you really impress upon them the severity. Hearing that we're adding $1 trillion every 100 days, like, how in the world could this end other than $1 trillion bills like in Zimbabwe and when Mr. Burns printed the $1 trillion bill?
Yeah, it's heading towards, hyperinflation, stagflation. Yeah, the end of our economy, a hopeless amount of debt that we can never pay off. Yeah, or we could, just wipe it all out at some point. I'm sure there's other methods that they could get out of it. But within this system, no, our generations will just be trapped. We'll just be slaves, or just, like what Thomas Jefferson, I'm going to butcher the quote here, but was it a progeny is going to wake up homeless on the continent our forefathers conquered, something to that effect.
And then there's another one that's,
it's like banks stealing the money, by deflation and inflation, whatever it is. I'm not good with the quotes, Brian. I'm more of a big picture guy, but
and then there's the other one that the borrower is slave to the debtor is slave to the lender. That's the other part of it. Like, you don't want to run up credit card bills if you can avoid it. And at some point you stop going out to fancy dinners if you can't pay the bill each month. Like, what are we doing? I'm just disgusted by this. I'm in, like I said, probably, I don't know how many groups on Facebook. I know it's a waste of time because it's CIA ran and they hide our stuff. But, there was an issue going on about a local levy passing, or it was shut down, by a couple of hundred votes. A levy renewal was voted down. And it's this back and forth of like, well, how could this happen? And blah, blah, blah. Won't somebody think of the children? Another Simpsons quote. Please think of the children. But it's like, you're not spending our money wisely. You're recklessly blowing through piles of cash. We're not giving you anymore. We're sick of giving you our cash. You are not faithful stewards. When I was in my homeowners association, it was like, if you're going to raise the HOA dues, which we had to because we were so far behind, we had never kept up with inflation, so we were almost bankrupt. But it's like, you better give me something for my money. Show me what you're actually doing. Show me a safe and secure border. Show me systems that are working in this country. Everything's broken. But at least if you were in an HOA and you're painting buildings, you're repaving driveways, you're putting roofs onto buildings, you're changing out the plumbing stacks so that you have water pressure again. Like, if we're actually doing stuff that's working, people are less likely to say, hell no, over my dead body, no more, vote no, let this fail, go into default. And when you go into default, it's kind of like cutting off your nose to spite your face. But you know what? I am not going to blame a Marjorie Taylor Greene or a Matt Gaetz or anybody on the conservative side of spending, not a Thomas Massey or a Rand Paul. I am not going to fault any of them for what Mike Johnson did to deliver this hunk of crap 2 days before it's due, a day before it's due. How dare you give us something so voluminous nobody could possibly understand what's in it? Funding all of this goofy stuff. Strip it down to brass tacks. Look at what Javier Milei did down in Argentina. I think it took him 3 or 4 months. They have been a complete one of the countries that I'm sure Trump was referring to as a shithole country. They were upside down in debt, ruining their country through inflation and unfunded liabilities for decades. Javier Milei gets there, cuts 85% of government, 100% of things that are not deemed absolutely necessary. I think for the first time in 2 or 3 decades, they now have a surplus and their economy's running in the right direction. For the first time in God knows how long, look up the stats. I don't know, 16 years or 26, whatever it was. That's what you need to do. You have to cut back and stop lighting money on fire, especially when you're paying it all in interest payments. Like, you've gone bankrupt. We are bankrupt. This is insanity. So, please let it fail. Doing so, and Mike Johnson, if he's deemed, like, do you deem Mike Johnson to be the one responsible for this? I don't know. If he is the one responsible for this, he needs to resign. He needs to be pulled aside. He needs to forfeit his leadership position, because this is not leadership. This is bullshit.
Right. Yeah, this is very alarming. This is the end of our empire here. So I'll just show a couple tweets. I got Mike Lee saying, prepare to vote on a spending bill more than 1,000 pages long on Friday. Oh, but you can see it Thursday, maybe. So this is shameful. Adults don't treat others like this. Both political parties should be deeply offended by this rope-a-dope tactic by the firm, TM. So as senior aides involved in government funding deal now say that text could slip to Thursday, but Speaker Johnson and Senate Democratic leadership really want to vote Friday. Why can't this wait another week? At least. Let the people at least see it. It's our money. Rick Scott saying Congress must be more transparent. Yes, the $1 trillion bill that dropped at 3 a.m. has 1,400 earmarks and is 1,000 plus. There was no reason for this bill to be under lock and key, and today we must fix this gross process and force fiscal sanity in Washington. Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I don't know what's in it, so I don't want people voting on it until my representatives have had a full chance to read it. That's if I can trust them.
What did Nancy Pelosi say about Obamacare? I can't wait to pass it so that we can find out what's in it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And how many pages was that? It was like 2,800 or something. Just outrageous of just mindless legalese written in a deliberately tortured way. And they want want to pass it first.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And gotten in a lot of trouble for that, but she persisted and around. And they've set that precedent. I don't know if it began under Obama when they started doing this. I can't remember if it went into the Bush administration, but yes, this is something that they've been doing and getting away with for a long time, and it has to stop. So stop the kleptocracy from stealing any more of our money.
Yeah,
so they're not reining in the spending whatsoever. It's time to make some cutbacks, including probably recalling some of these members of Congress who were involved in this atrocity. So that's all I got, Brian.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We got some breaking news that I'm going to get to in a second here, but we will keep eye peeled on this Omnibus stuff and make sure you're following Blake on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley, and follow the New American Media on X at American_media_ as we follow this Omnibus train wreck as it moves forward. Okay, on to the next story here. I clicked the button a long time ago, and here we go. Whoop, refreshing, almost.
Maybe.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm on a glitch. I pray for a producer one of these days. Okay, here we go.
You pull it up. Okay.
All right. So, Blake, agree or disagree that illegal alien invaders should take advantage of lax squatting laws? And when I said there's breaking news, let me just get to two things real quick, because this illegal alien invasion is in full force right now. I want to show you something that's breaking. This is in El Paso, Texas. The invasion is increasing. Let me switch screen this. It's happening right now. This is America being invaded while we're twiddling our thumbs. Illegal alien invaders breaking through the line of border patrol. I mean, this is clearly an invasion that's happening. There's no doubt about this. Let me find you one more video here that came up, because we're talking about illegal alien invaders. Let me get you the second.
It's a dangerous spot too. That's El Paso. That's right on the border of Juarez. It's a big cartel compound. Yeah.
Have you ever been down there, Blake?
I've driven through it a couple times, but
yeah,
I stopped for coffee.
I've definitely spent some time there. You stop for coffee. Oh, like that English guy who wakes up dreaming of the Queen.
Yeah.
And coffee. Okay, here's more video. I don't know if I feel like this is a different angle, but let me play this one. I know it's all just breaking. I'm trying to share it. This is them breaking through barricades, committing an insurrection. This is to overthrow the country. Okay? Is this the same video?
Looks like it. It looks similar.
Yeah, this does seem like the same video, but no, actually, this is not the video I intended to share. I have a second video. I'm sorry. Okay, why don't you talk about this lax squatting laws while I try to find this other video? What's going on here?
Well,
should illegal alien invaders take advantage of lax squatting laws?
Yeah, well, I mean, at least Texas is finally doing something. So now that the Supreme Court has kind of backed off and let them arrest people who are in the country illegally, maybe they can actually do something to enforce border security. But it looks like things have taken a violent turn. And all those people.
By the way, I did find it.
Okay. Who've made all that trip.
Pause.
And they came from God knows where. A lot of them are coming through. I don't know if they're starting in Panama, working their way up through Central America, and then into Mexico, all the way through. That's quite a journey a lot of those people have to go through, because basically we're indirectly inviting them into the country. They know it's open, so here they go.
Well, it's not open. Like, they're still breaking and entering. Like, this is illegal on every level. This is illegal, even though Biden, whoever the.
No, I got you. Yeah.
Well, this person saying this is war, open fire. What are you waiting for?
I don't know about that. But,
I mean, this is an invasion, Blake. Like, if you don't defend your country, you have no country. This is exactly what an invasion looks like. And New York Post has the balls to call these migrants. These are invaders. These are home invaders breaking barriers and rushing Border Patrol in El Paso. Let me tell you this. Yeah, I mean, this looks like January 6th, right? Tearing through barricades. And this is how inept our nation has become. All right, so yeah, I guess that is a little bit more of the same videos from a slightly different angle that the New York Post had, but same story. Anyway, so this illegal alien invasion is causing problems across the country, both on the border and, well, everywhere else, really. We saw that story in New York, and then it's tied to this one. So what's this guy doing from Venezuela? And it's been confirmed that Venezuela has dumped open their maximum security prisons. They've dumped all of their worst people here. Exactly what Trump has said. They're mentally deranged. They're criminals. They're rapists. They're murderers. And at the time, people are like, oh, Trump is so racist. He called all Mexicans rapists. It's like, no. But by the way, if a single person comes through that should have been screened out by checking an ID at the border, you're complicit. You're complicit for that crime. And Biden should be personally sued for this stuff. I'm 100% confident. So anyway, what's going on with this Venezuelan?
Yeah, the Venezuelans are, I guess, some of the more dangerous people. But yeah, a lot of them are criminals that have been let out of prison. So yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, they're committing all kinds of violence, and now this one is a migrant, or whatever you want to call it, illegal invader. He's urging his followers to invade homes in America using the squatting laws. So I think it's got like 2 or 3 million hits on TikTok. So as a Venezuelan, migrant TikToker Leonel Moreno going viral for sharing his video to 500,000 followers, urging them to invade America and occupy them using progressive squatting laws. So he says, my African friends have told me that they have already taken about 7 homes. And so, yes, he's now on TikTok telling all of his followers, 500,000 followers, Brian. Angry little man.
Invadir una casa en United States. Ya que me enteré que existe una ley.
Can you read for the people?
Yeah, he's just let's. I've thought about invading a house in the United States. He found out there's a law that if a house is not inhabited, we can seize it. And the United States, that law applies land invasion. My next business is invade abandoned houses. There's some codes. Friends, American friends, they've already taken 7 houses. They have to look for and return right now, invade houses. You may not have to live in the streets, so they can just go from your house. So maybe, Brian, maybe you go out of town for a week. They could go move into your house. And, and good luck getting rid of them. So that brings me to the what I was going to share with the copyright, the HBO, and that is a scene out of Silicon Valley. This is from years ago, and this is a fantastic show. This is Mike Judge, just the crazy stuff going on in Silicon.
And by the way, Mike Judge, for the people that don't know, he did Beavis and Butthead, and what else? Idiocracy. Office Space too.
What was the other Texas show? The cartoon, King of the Hill. Like he's a genius behind a lot of these really great movies and shows. Yeah. And this was a huge home run. This was on HBO. So I didn't see it until really just like last year. I finally I binge watched all, I think it's 6 or 7 seasons of Silicon Valley, but it does go into the crazy California laws. So this might trigger a copyright, but this is all in the news, and we're promoting a great show. So if you haven't seen Silicon Valley, highly recommended, but there might be a quick spoiler here. It's a bunch of dudes, like entrepreneurs, up their new business, kind of all living together in a house because housing's obviously expensive, while they work on their product. And so here's a couple of those people. Let's check this out. Try to provide some context and stop so we don't get flagged.
So you want me to leave the house?
Yes, yes, very much so.
So this is the guy that owns the house, Ehrlich, and he's got his people in there that work for him. So he lets them live for instead of paying rent, they got 10% of their whatever their business turns into. So
I thank you for our today. Now you bow. Bow. All the way to the waist.
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
I think I know that.
Ehrlich, thank you again for allowing me to occupy a corner of your cozy garage.
So in this storyline, this guy here on the left, I forget his name, he has rented his apartment out to an Airbnb guy, but when he goes to take back his home, he can't kick him out because the Airbnb guy is also not one.
It is my heart.
And that dude he was on The Office briefly.
Yeah, it might have been. I didn't see a lot of The Office, so I don't know all the characters.
Oh, Blake, get caught up.
Too many episodes. We'll see. But Silicon Valley's only, I think it's 7 seasons and maybe 10 episodes each and about a half-hour episode. So this is a very easy show to watch, and it's really good.
Fuck. Wow. Jin Yang, Jesus Christ. Don't sneak up on people like that, you devious little bastard, especially if they're cleaning glassware.
You kick me out, but you let him stay. He's now even in QB.
No, he's not, and he's not staying in the house. He's in the garage like a sad bag of potting soil. And have some compassion. I mean, the guy rented his place, some fuckhead tenant who won't leave. Jared is fucked, Jin Yang.
He can go to the police.
It's useless. California law gives landlords...
Okay, here it is. California law, which he's getting into.
The police.
It's useless. California law gives landlords literally no recourse.
So he can go to court.
Of course he's going to go to court, you four-eyed turd. But in America, the legal system doesn't work very well, so it'll take at least a year for the proceedings to even begin.
So, if you got a squatter, it would take at least a year to take them to court and to hear anything. Just to get a first court appearance.
Do you understand that?
Yes. I stay here for 1 year. I pay no rent. You have no recourse.
So, as we noticed in the beginning scene, he was trying to kick him out, but now he just inadvertently that he could basically stay indirectly, and it would take a year for anything to happen.
That's not always the case. I mean, sometimes court systems can move faster, especially if you have the money for it.
Smoke in my room. A special occasion.
Motherfuck.
Yeah, so there we go.
I am telling you, Blake, with the COVID craziness and that specific provision, I wanted to keep my little place in Los Angeles and rent it forever. And the more I learned about circumstances like this, the fact that places like New York and California hate you, they hate America, they hate law-abiding people, and they love dirtbags, I could not, in good conscience, keep my place. I had to get out. It sucks. But
well,
like,
they changed it under COVID.
You cannot do business in a place like Kevin O'Leary. Is that the guy's name?
He's coming up
too. You can't do business in New
Oh,
York.
that's coming up, Brian.
What they're doing
I've got him queued up too. That's another story in our stack.
Yeah, I mean it's all related. You cannot do business in a place, and by the way, anyway, you cannot do business in a backward place. You have to flee the blue cities and the blue states. They hate you. They run everything backwards, and they love illegal alien invaders. They love dirtbag criminals. They don't like law-abiding taxpayers. For the life of me, I don't fucking understand it. Who in the world benefits from these Democrats running these policies? I don't understand how this makes the world a better place.
They just wanted to
make everything worse.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they just wanted to target Trump, but then now they've set a precedent that could backfire on them. And they're going to be losing a lot of good people. Yeah. Los Angeles. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, but our laws that they've pushed for this. I mean, it was one thing during, COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs. They didn't want to, kick all of these people out. because they weren't working. They had to do an emergency at that time. But I mean, this was all before that. So yeah, they've created a major problem. And now what are we going to do with these people? I mean, this dude should be rounded up. He should be easily identified and deported if he's not here legally. And he should not be calling for other people to come up here. So that should
and commit crimes and steal the country.
Right. So they need to find him and send his little ass to back to Venezuela. And they should make an example of him.
So, but this was on the heels. I don't know if you had that New York video pulled up where the lady inherited her parents' property, and then there was a film crew there, and it turns out the people were coming and going at the same exact time. She had a locksmith there. They warned her, don't change the locks. So she changed the locks, and then she got arrested at her own house.
Yep. So the squatters had
no
rights.
You cannot live in New York or California. You cannot let any Democrat near a position of power, ever. They run everything into the ground. That is not an endorsement of Republicans. Can't stand Republicans either. But Democrats, I mean, they've lost the plot. They're playing for the other team. It's the Cloward and Piven. They're intentionally trying to collapse this system. I mean, it's obvious what's happening. So, yeah, I mean, we got multiple stories here about stealing real estate and properties in the past couple of days, and it's coming to a head. They're starting to kick these illegal alien invaders out of these fancy hotels in Chicago and in New York. And now they're starting to have riots on the streets there because now their gravy train is drying up. What the hell did they think was going to happen? The residents are beyond pissed off. I mean, you think there's going to be tar and feather? Dude, I've never seen residents of Chicago and New York and some of these places as angry as they are at how they're being replaced and how their benefits are being wasted on people who have broken a law to break into this country, and now somebody's giving them free stuff. That's called aiding and abetting a criminal activity. So figure out which churches are behind it, which philanthropy, non-governmental organizations, George Soros, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, whoever's behind it, they are aiding and abetting criminal activity. Period. This is very simple. So I don't know. Maybe Ken Paxton will start filing charges finally. But yeah, I mean, they're breaking into El Paso right now. Like there's going to be a Crispus Attucks moment. There's going to be the first illegal alien invader shot. It's going to happen. I don't know.
The Arizona rancher that shot, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble, even because on his land crossing through.
Because his life was threatened. Yeah. I believe they aimed at him. As well. That was the story.
So yeah, it's going to be a pushback, and it could get very ugly. So.
Yeah, well, it's ugly right now per El Paso, and we'll keep following it. Okay, let's move off of illegal aliens, and we'll talk about Letitia James. Blake, agree or disagree that Trump should let Letitia James start seizing his properties? Once again, staying in the theme of stealing things. What say you?
I don't, I wrote that question, and I had no idea, and I still have no idea how I'm going to answer that, but maybe I'll just agree. Let them just show their open criminality and let them set that precedent. And then, assuming he gets back into office and we could, bring some sanity back to the country. And maybe not, I'm saying setting a precedent by seizing their properties, but they're going to have to pay for this because this is not in the Bill of Rights or Constitution the way I know it. This is way big overreach. So let me pull up a couple stories here. Real quick, we're going to tie this up pretty quick. We're at an hour 20, but we got plenty of time to cover the last few stories. So we got Donald Trump may not pay the bond, and so they're laughing at him. He doesn't have the money, so he doesn't have his $500 million to pay the bond. But I mean, people they don't have all that money just sitting in their bank account or under their bed or whatever. They got it tied up into stocks and bonds and CDs or their real estate. They can't just liquidate stuff that easily. So
I saw somewhere that there's only 200 people on Earth that would have that much liquidity like a week's notice. Like there's no, they're doing unprecedented stuff.
Right.
This is completely illegal election interference. And this is beyond it. This is civil rights abuses. These are civil rights violations. Clear cut. And my question is, Blake, if Trump is a Florida resident, which he is, why can't he start suing them? Why can't somebody in Florida go to bat for him and start going after James personally for civil rights violations, for election interference? Like, where is the damn pushback?
I don't know.
Doesn't Trump have
Well,
allies
maybe the
anywhere?
Supreme Court will jump in and say no. I don't know exactly, because this is coming up Monday. So I don't know if this can be allowed to happen, or if it will, it'll be temporary. This is amazing. This seems to be a violation of, was it the 8th Amendment? So Donald Trump may not pay the bond and instead let Letitia James seize the Trump Tower, according to insiders. So he faces a Monday deadline to post $454 million bond. So he doesn't even get chances. You're supposed to go through an appeals process until that's, he's exhausted all of his chances, and then they can maybe, take this. But they're like making up the rules as they go. So this is a civil case. It's a civil fraud case against him in New York. Insiders say he may be weighing a little discussed option, and that's just doing nothing. So the ex-president reportedly has been struggling to raise cash, either from banks or wealthy friends, with his lawyers claiming on Monday that it was a practical impossibility. Yeah, I can't get it from Rudy Giuliani. He's pretty much destroyed too. So while some reports have raised speculation Trump may go nuclear with a Chapter 11 to protect his prized real estate assets, experts say bankruptcy would create unwelcome complications in the 2024 election season. I guess that's also the point. So a third possibility is to let the deadline pass and then leaving it to the Attorney General of New York, General Letitia James, to seize Trump's bank accounts or buildings, including Trump Tower, from which he declared his 2016 presidential run. So it's an option Trump appears to have considered, partly because he believes the chances are good that he could recover the assets on appeal, even if he is forced to take his case to the Supreme Court. So,
and think, of course, there shouldn't be a barrier to your appeal. It's not like death row inmates are denied their appeals. How do you deny Trump's? Oh, well, that death row inmate doesn't have enough money to do this or that. It's like, well, you get your appeal. Now, I've been in a situation before where it's like, maybe you get a I don't know, some moving violation, or, you get a speeding ticket, but you have to pay your $157 fine before you're allowed to appeal it. I feel like that's happened to me once before. So I kind of understand it, but we're not talking about $200 here. We're talking about $500 million. Yeah. Because what? Because he defrauded nobody, because there's no victim, and he wasn't even allowed to use a defense. Like, this is a clear-cut lynching. This is a lynching of President Trump, and any objective observer could see this. There was nobody harmed, nobody lost money in any deal, and it's like Kevin O'Leary said, like this is what happens 1,000 times. Grant Cardone, Kevin O'Leary, all these people. You cannot do business in America if this is the new standard. This doesn't exist in a vacuum where it's only to get Orange Man. This is like the most ridiculous precedent. It'll obviously get struck down on appeal. All of this stuff is going to get struck down on appeal. But the question is, how much damage will they do in the meantime? And that's what the point of lawfare is. We just want to ruin you long enough so that you're derailed. Yeah, I don't care. Of course it'll get thrown out, but we just want to wreck you in this election cycle first. I mean, it's clear election interference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to pull up, let's see, even this is Wikipedia, 8th Amendment to the Constitution protects against imposing excessive bail, excessive fines, or cruel and unusual punishments.
Excessive, of course.
Yeah, back from 1790. So you think 454 million would be excessive? I mean, it's just unimaginable.
Because he took out a loan. Because they lie. Is this they all blur together for me, but is this the one because they're lying about Mar-a-Lago saying it's worth 18 million? Is that what this is about? Anyway, it all blurs together for me. I'm not trying to get you in a gotcha because, like, I can't keep track of them. Is this because some lady watched Law and Order and then lied about a situation allegedly?
Right.
And then she's laughing with Rachel Maddow about it? I don't know. They all blur together.
Well, let's take a look at what you're just saying. A couple times. Kevin O'Leary, and he was on CNN talking about the seizure of the Trump assets. So let's run this smug lady over here on the left. Here we go. Let's run part of this clip.
I think this case is about Trump anymore. I think this case is about New York. It's about the American brand.
Yep.
It's about what we promise the world in terms of fairness and justice and investing capital in a country that's
blatant violation of the 8th Amendment.
Built the largest economy on earth. Forfeiture, seizing of assets. Is that in our nomenclature in America? Is that what we tell people that want to bring their money here and protect property rights? Forget about Trump. Nothing to do with Trump. You think this is good for business in New York? You think this is good for business in America? To take a law that we use.
She thinks it's funny. She's hilarious. She would love to take every single one of Trump's properties and throw him in prison for the rest of his life.
To protect people against buying refrigerators at an overpriced value decades ago and apply it against an individual and then talk about seizing assets like he was in Venezuela or in Cuba. This is a very, very, very bad look for New York.
Oh, again, she thinks it's hysterical. She loves it. She would love to have laws like Venezuela and Cuba where they could just seize everything. Everybody's locked up all of MAGA.
And look how angry the middle lady is.
Well, she's the CNN hack moderator, but kudos to her for bringing O'Leary on the show.
This may be great for the Attorney General, but this is not good for America.
But in terms of the valuation, can you be clear as to why? I mean, why would the properties not be sufficient collateral?
What a great message to send out all around the world. Take a claim where there was no monies lost. There was no fraud here in the context of actually people losing money. Deutsche Bank, who made the loan.
Exactly, and that would be one thing. If somebody got screwed, lost tons of money, banks got ruined, crumbled, like this is an absolutely victimless crime. This is pure lawfare and election interference to try to take down their biggest political opponent.
And they had the banker testify, and he's like, no, we had a great deal. They paid everything on time, if not early, and we'd love to do business with them again. What fucking crime are we even talking about? We're living in a cuckoo clock. I mean, Blake, every day we've been doing this for over a decade. It's just like every day gets stupider than the day before. Like, this is not complicated. I understand if we're trying to figure out how to navigate the solar system and there's so many unknowns. This is not complicated. The shit we're talking about is super clear, super easy to make a policy decision and to stop stupidity. But it's like every day it just gets dumber and dumb. It's like the Mike Judge idiocracy, Blake. It really is.
Yeah. It's a great movie illustrating how things kind of are. It's exaggerated, but we're not far from it. That's where we're heading. So it's a great movie for people to go check that one out as well.
Absolutely.
Great Mike Judge.
All right. Anything else on Trump and Letitia James?
Not for now. We'll see what happens because that's going to be coming up Monday. Let's see if they actually have the audacity to go through with that, and we'll see if the Supreme Court jumps in and says no.
They have got to step in. They have got to step in. Okay, next topic. More Trump. All right, so we are getting ever closer to the convention. We're getting ever closer to the nomination and the election of President Trump for his second term. It should be a blowout, all 50 states. Do you agree or disagree that President Trump should pick Marco Rubio over Vivek Ramaswamy for vice presidential nominee? Rubio or Ramaswamy?
I am going to disagree. I am not a fan of Rubio. I would not trust him at all. So He would be like another George Bush, sort of. I can't imagine him being in charge. Not that I even have an axe to grind with him. I don't. But no, definitely not qualified. I don't know where he came from on this one. And he used to be more of a prominent figure. I haven't seen him as outspoken as of lately. He used to be kind of one of the go-to guys.
He was part of like that Young Guns. He wasn't part of the Young Guns, but he came up at the same time. Shit, what was that, 15, 20 years ago at this point? But yeah, he was the new batch.
Yeah.
I'd say the most recent thing I saw him in was discussing, because he's on, I don't know, what's it called? The Intelligence Committee or one of the high-ranking security committees. And he was talking about unidentified. He was talking essentially about unidentified craft and how terrifying it is if you actually knew what it was. I saw him just a couple months ago doing that.
I remember that. They were talking about, it was like interdimensionals. Like they were getting into it. Like they knew something, but they couldn't tell us specifics. Yep. So that was, yes, that was very interesting. I don't know if we don't think we ever covered that.
So I wonder, well, we should, we could do a wraparound, cover it as an addendum maybe down the road. But yeah, you wonder, are there certain deals that Trump could make to let a deep state asset? I don't know if you'd call Rubio a deep state asset, but he's reached the highest levels of the security clearances to be talking UFOs and that type of stuff. Like maybe he had to cut a deal to put Pence there so that the deep state wouldn't take him out JFK style. Maybe even in a system that refuses to let him back in power. Of course he's going to get in power, because there's no way you can scam all 50 states. Like he should get elected in the biggest landslide since Mondale. It should be super easy against Biden and these Democrats. It's super easy. So I don't know. I don't know if it's possible that he would have to offer some sort of a sacrifice or some sort of a olive branch to the deep state. But I mean, little Marco, he's up there. He's talking about the aliens and the UFOs and the UAPs, and I don't know. But yeah, like you said, this kind of came out of nowhere. He was not really on the short list. We weren't even talking about him.
No, we haven't talked about him in a long time, but it seems like, he was prominent for a number of years, but he's kind of faded into the background over the last few. But Pence, as much as I disliked him and didn't want him, he was an interesting, it was a complimentary piece to Trump as sort of the religious conservative from the Midwest to go along with Trump. But no, I'm not a fan of Marco Rubio. I have nothing against him either, but as a VP pick, no. Definitely not. I'm not sure what this is all about. It could be a smokescreen. They throw a lot of these things out there, but what we do know is that Trump has ruled out choosing Ramaswamy, but he is considering him for a cabinet position instead, which would be great.
Was this a direct quote from Trump or just reporting from the Gateway Pundit?
No, it's from Bloomberg. It says, it's out of the Gateway Pundit, but from Bloomberg reported, Trump personally told Ramaswamy he won't be his VP pick, according to people briefed on the discussion, but is considering him for posts, including Homeland Security Secretary. Some Trump allies see Ramaswamy as a deal because he excels at public speaking and as an Indian American son of an immigrant could neutralize criticism of sweeping immigration restrictions. So I think that would be a very good pick. So he could replace Alejandro Mayorkas.
Mayorkas should be in jail for treason, and he should suffer the consequence of trying to overthrow your country. We're not playing around. We're not joking about this stuff. This stuff isn't funny. This stuff isn't inconsequential. Ask Lake and Riley's family. None of this is insignificant. This isn't just politics as usual. Mayorkas must stand trial and then be convicted of the treason that he has committed. He's been impeached, by one branch of the House, or one branch of Congress. Blake, one thing about Marco Rubio, though, isn't there something that you can't have the president and the vice president from the same state?
I've heard that too. So I think, I have heard that. And I think that would kind of rule them out, because weren't they floating that around with DeSantis? But
that everybody kept saying that about DeSantis. I'm like, well, is that really a rule or is that a tradition? Like, what difference to quote Hillary Rodham? What difference at this point does it make? I mean, it's 2024. Is this really who cares what state you're from? But if you put Rubio there, it's not like Florida is going to be a purple state in 2024. This should carry Trump by 50 points. I mean, it'll probably be the biggest margin out of all the states. Maybe Hawaii after they watch Hawaii burn. But other than that, like, I don't really know logistically. Wouldn't you want someone from Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona? Don't you want someone from one of those places to pull the popularity? I mean, I don't know. I don't get Rubio as the pick. I don't think it'll be him. I don't get it. I'd be very surprised if he is.
Yeah, I'm not taking it too serious, but it has been floated out there. Maybe he's just messing with them. So, like he was messing with Mitt Romney about being Secretary of State or something, and he was just trolling him. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Rubio. Not the brightest. Definitely think he's corrupted by the deep state and the old neocons, kind of part of that group. Kind of in between that and the Ted Cruz, all together, just not a strong candidate. There's better options. So, but anyway, that's the latest news on that. Vivek is definitely out, but I also heard that Vivek,
according to that report,
right, and that it's the list isn't getting narrower; it's actually growing, from what I am hearing. So they haven't found the perfect pick yet, but we'll see what happens.
Deb from SAC said that Mike Pence was a handbag, like an accessory for Trump, and then kind of correctly calling out, Pence got a nice new coin for that handbag. We all saw that video where a challenge coin was placed into his hands on January 6th. Very, 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 very interesting. And it looks like Kenneth is putting Rubio. Oh, that was pretty bad. But I did see those guys. Do you know who sings that Ruby Soho song?
I
saw them this summer.
do. I used to have it on my that punk band. I used to have it on my Spotify list. I might still have it. I can't remember it now.
Destination.
They had like 2 songs that were really good. Yeah, I remember that band. They had I think I had like 2 songs on my list.
Yeah, they were really good at Louder Than Life a few months ago.
Who was it? I forgot.
I'll tell you in a moment. Next topic. Oh, wait, I got to click this other button. I thought I had it.
I'm gonna look it up.
Kingdom for producer. Click the right button. Here we go.
Okay. Rancid.
Fun fact, I used to cover this. Rancid. Yeah, fun fact, I used to cover that song, Ruby Soho. Love that song. Out Come the Wolves was the name of that album. Great album.
Yeah, like I said, there was
3 or 4 bangers.
2 songs, right? I don't remember the other one, but
there were like 4 songs.
Okay,
that was a great album. Underrated. Everybody go out and listen to Ruby Soho.
That was a huge song on the radio. I don't think that was underrated. But that was about 20 years ago.
It was huge at the time, but you really haven't heard it in 25 years.
Right.
It should be in the regular rotation.
That's from 1995. Yeah, that's older than I thought. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was like before.
Right.
Good God. How did that get 35 years? How did we get
Time Bomb? That's the other one I'm thinking of. Time Bomb. Yeah.
Time Bomb.
Kind of
Time Bomb is a good one.
Alternative ska.
Okay, so will it be a time bomb for Twitter, Blake? Yeah. Do you agree or disagree that X should be shut down to stop the spread of conspiracies? Agree or disagree?
Well, of course, I am going to disagree, but not this hack from the BBC. I think that's where it's from.
Look at that shirt.
Yeah.
I thought you had Donnie Deutsch on screen. Donnie Deutsch has lost his mind. I used to like watching him. He had like a business show. I was like, oh, this is a good show on CNBC. Like, I like this. And then he just turned Trump derangement syndrome. So it's like, all right, you're blackmailed and bribed. Good Lord. What kind of dirt do they have on you, Donnie? Anyway.
Right. It was like he stole like the drapes from his grandma's house or something. What the heck? Made a shirt out of it. That's wild. But
it does.
This is Jeremy Vine, a television host. He stoked anger when he suggested that Twitter should be shut down completely to stop conspiracy theories, pointing out, well, hey, China does it. So this is all about the he made the comments earlier this week during debate about speculation surrounding the health of the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton. Well, Brian, I don't know if you've been following that story, but she has not been seen for a few months. And then when they tried to say, oh, yeah, she's fine, here we go, it turned out that both the pictures and the video that were shown to the public were actually, well, one was photoshopped and the other one was clearly not her, taking a closer look. So what are the royals hiding? Many people are speculating that King Charles is perhaps already passed away, or that maybe something serious has happened to Kate. I think there was a Spanish media outlet that said she was in the hospital. I don't know, but I'm also hearing that she had some kind of a routine surgery. But regardless, she has not been seen, and people are understandably worried. And that's when conspiracy theories are going to come out. But at the same time, you can't just say, oh, well, then maybe we should just shut down Twitter because of these conspiracy theories.
Blake, remember back before the internet? Yes, there was such a time as before the internet. It's so weird that we've lived during these times. It's like our grandparents, back in the day, we didn't have a telephone. We didn't have TV. You're like, oh, shut up. Oh, stop. Of course you did. Oh, my gosh, you didn't? What a dinosaur. But remember when in the 80s and the 90s, you would just go into the grocery store and you'd get some food. And by the way, inflation wasn't through the roof and your money actually went somewhere because they didn't intentionally devalue it to make you poor because they hate you. But you would go get your food and then you'd go to the checkout line and you would see all of the National Enquirer. You'd see every fake news, misinformation.
Time. Yep.
X-Files did tons of scenes and episodes about how they plant stories in there, how they find stories to go after by reading those. So they did the same in Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith with the flashy thing, Men in Black. There's conspiracies, there's misinformation, there's disinformation. It's called life and it's called discernment. Grow up. You're not banning anything from any of us. Stop it. We're adults. We know how to take that stuff in and, either consider it or discard it. Get out of my head. Get out of my life. Stop telling me what I can and can't do. You're not the boss of me. By the way, one last thing. There's another song called Roots Radical. Here come the roots, the radicals. No, I'm a radical. That was another great one by Rancid on that same album, but I digress.
I'll have to look.
Yes. So, yeah, I've been seeing Kate Middleton and all this stuff, but I don't know. I don't know exactly. So she's been missing for how long? She's been gone for... And then there was
a few months.
If you ordered Kate Middleton off of Wish, there was like a fake Middleton, like a fake Biden and a fake Hillary.
Well, they were worried, and then there was they showed a family picture, but then under scrutiny, you could see it was an obvious photo, hack,
right?
Photoshop job. So they were like, well, why would they put that out there? So it just made people even more alarmed. But according to this, she's planning for a major comeback, and then she's going to be showing up at a big Easter Sunday service at Windsor. So that's right around the corner here. It's coming back mid-April, or if she fails to show up on March 31st. When is Easter this year, Brian? I don't know.
You got me.
According to the Julian calendar, it used to be March 25th, but on the regular calendar, it's the second. What is it? The second, third? I forget. It changes every year. I don't remember exactly anymore either. But I'll have to look that up.
So who's next in line for the throne?
It is the 31st. It's March 31st, so it's in 10 days.
Oh, okay.
So next Friday is Good Friday on the 29th. Okay, so that's coming up. So, well, we'll see if she makes an appearance. But here, let's go back to this quote here from this clown on the BBC, I think it is. So here it is.
No, all I know. But I mean, Jenny, is there any argument to say, this will sound crazy.
Is there any argument, Brian?
But China does it.
China does it.
Got to now take control of Twitter and shut it down for the time being.
So is this guy really proposing that the United States, or is he arguing that Great Britain shuts it down or that the U.S. shuts it down?
I guess anybody. I mean, you can't be spreading conspiracy theories, right? Because China can do it.
So if China's imprisoning the Uyghurs, is he advocating for that? Is he saying that we should do the Tiananmen Square again because China did it? Like, what is it? Using
You think this guy has
China
any
does it
principle?
as a proof that, well, China does it. Yeah, that's usually used every time you don't want to do the thing that China just did. Yeah, well, China steals intellectual property. We should do it. No, you should bust China and bust anyone that steals intellectual property for it. What a goofy argument.
Well, do you think this guy has any integrity whatsoever? If he's been a long time like fixture of British media, if he's on the BBC or wherever he's at, no, he's going to do exactly what he's told. He's not going to make those waves. He's going to read the scripts. And
Who is next in line after Charles? I don't follow this stuff. I think it's also stupid. Is it like one of the kids? Harry or Charlie or
Harry or William or somebody? I don't even know.
Chuckles.
It's all a joke. They're political parasites that need to go away. This is 21st century. There's no reason to have any kind of monarchy, royal, these inbred blue bloods. No, they need to go. Especially not like a modern culture like Britain. That doesn't make any sense.
Deb from Sac is saying William is next in line. All right. So who's Kate? Who is she? She's married.
Well, she's the middle class one. She's not a royal. I think that they were actually having so much. They're so like inbred that they needed some like middle class genetics into their bloodline so they would stop having freak children or something. I don't know. But
Bat Boy. Speaking of National Enquirer,
right.
like Royals birth Bat Boy. So Deb is saying that Diana's son is William. He's the bald one, or he's the who's the one that married that actress from Suits, and then they got kicked out and they had to flee to Canada because they're woke and they're annoying. And then Kate is William's wife. Okay, Kate is William's wife.
And that's Prince Harry, right? Who's like the celebrity who's got the narcissist wife that was on the TV show.
Yeah, I just binge watched that whole series. It was okay. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I like attorneys. I like law. I like, they're all attorneys in that. So I do enjoy that. And when you're a booking agent, like at William Morris, watching, what do we say? Not Ballers. That was the other one with The Rock. With Jeremy Piven.
The Entourage?
Entourage. I mean, when you're a booking agent, it's kind of law because you got all these big contracts and you're really just sorting out legal contracts. So, I mean, it is kind of similar, but yeah, I love that type of stuff. Yeah, Meghan Markle.
Sussex or something, yeah. Meghan Markle.
I guess.
She's like a flaming narcissist, too.
Yeah, super woke, super abrasive, super annoying, super whiny. Okay, so I think we should disagree. We shouldn't shut Twitter down.
No.
Goofballs.
Not from this clown, no.
Okay.
Like China. Oh, my God.
Well, China's doing it. Oh, okay.
This guy would love it if we could shut down all competition and he could just, be the big boss. I don't know. There'd be no threat to him because I'm sure people have lashed out quite a bit.
All right. Well, speaking of people lashing out, that's a great segue for our final story of the day. Coming up now about your favorite workout place. All right, let me share this with you real quick. If you can see that. Here, pull this off for 1 second. If you can see this, I got my nice, I'm all inverted now. Geez, I can't move out of the way. That's my good Ronald Reagan quote. I put that up the other day. That one says, "Freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same." So you said, you're not a man of quotes. I love quotes. Sometimes I can remember them too. But I wanted to share this with you. What would you guess this is, Blake, that I'm holding up in my hand here, if you had to guess? And that's a good question for everybody watching out there in Radio Land and in the internet universe. If you are watching our feed, take one guess as to what Brian is holding up right now. Wrong answers only. Type them in the comments real quick. We'd like to read your favorite guesses. Wrong answers only. Blake, what is Brian holding in his hand?
The bathhouse something membership. Is that your bathhouse membership, Brian?
Bathhouse Barry?
Yep. Bathhouse Brian. Meeting is that grinder dates? Is that where you meet your grinder dates, Brian?
So this is a piece of mail that I had now ripped up, and it was on my desk because I've wanted to sign up for a gym for quite some time now. I want a place to play some basketball, and I want to hit the sauna. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't feel like adding another monthly expenditure to my life. But, you know, I do want to sweat. I want to play more basketball. I want to hit the sauna. And I don't mind having just access to all of those weight racks exactly where I want them. And there's one, you know, relatively close-ish to where I'm at, sort of. But I decided I'm going to go to the other side of town and go to their competitor now, because that was a Planet Fitness advertisement that was sent my way. And so this perfectly leads into our last story here, Blake.
Sure does.
Yeah, so let's ask the question in an agree to disagree format. Should people cancel their Planet Fitness memberships? So, agree or disagree that people should cancel. What say you?
Well, I do not have a membership to Planet Fitness, but if I did, I would absolutely go in and cancel it. And it'd be nothing personal to the people there, but you have to send a message, because what they did was wrong, and they are facing the backlash. So much like, Bud Light or Target, they are also, well, they're going to be targeted. Planet Fitness, they've already lost $400 million in market value in the last 5 days. I guess that's because they had some creepo perv, a man with a penis in the locker room shaving in front of women. And this was in, I think it's Anchorage, Alaska.
By the way, in furtherance of trying to be precise with our language, I don't think we need to say man with a penis. Men have penises and girls have vaginas. This was from Kindergarten Cop. We learned it from Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. But anyway, I digress. I'm not busting your chops. I'm just, you know, the more we allow these abominations of our language, the more we have to deal with this stuff. So let's just kind of chop it off, right? You know, nip it in the bud. And whoa, look at that market cap.
Yeah. This is the lady. I had her video and I think I lost it. It's not a huge deal, but she's the one. So she saw this man, and she took a picture of him, a few of them. Like, what are you doing in the women's restroom? And then he said he was, you know, LGB, whatever. And so it was basically okay, and it was not okay. And their women were very uncomfortable. But it's you know, a lot of these women, they don't want to speak out. I don't know why, but kudos to her for doing it. But then Planet Fitness retaliated. They actually canceled her membership, and they kept this guy. And so the backlash was swift. It was pretty dramatic. Libs of TikTok has been all over it. And you know what? Let
me jump in and add two points there.
Yeah.
One, I saw some reporting that said there was a 12-year-old girl sitting there while all this was happening. By the way, like this is like child abuse. This is like creepy. For the rest of your life, if you're not castrated, you need to stay 500 feet away from children at all times and announce yourself as a sex offender. Like, you don't go doing this around kids. Like, this is not a game. This is not fun anymore. This is not, you know, pushing the boundaries. I mean, look, I've gone into a unisex bathroom. I've gone into a female bathroom when it was unoccupied, and there's a line for the guy. I have used a women's restroom. Never when somebody was there, except for a weird place in Culver City where you walked in and it was just men and women, all over, cats and dogs together again. So, I mean, it was one of the weirdest bathroom circumstances I've ever encountered. But that's what they chose to do. I whipped it out, did my business, and then I walked away. But I'm like, really? The ladies are okay with this? Men in bathrooms are gross. I know you don't want to ruin your restrooms this way. But the second point I was going to say is that lady, in lieu of playing the video, I believe she did a series of videos, at least two that I saw, I believe. And she said, so I went in to cancel my membership, and they informed me that they revoked my pass. which thank you very much. It saved me an extra trip and the extra hassle. Like she's very happy about it. She's very happy to be gone. But you know what? Maybe she should become the spokesman for whoever the competition is, whoever their rival is, and just be like, look, we believe it's important to protect women in their space. That's a winning campaign. Don't let these crazies intimidate and bully you. That is a winning campaign. When you're showering and you're naked, and it's like, if you knowingly enter into a unisex situation, all right, more power to you. I've been around plenty of skinny dippers. I've been around plenty of scenarios that you would be aghast to learn that my conservative sensibilities have allowed me to participate in. I've got stories for days. But when you don't opt into that shit, you got to keep that stuff separate. And I love the blowback, the Bud Light treatment. We have to tell companies what's okay and what's not. And just exposing children to these fetishes of men in these pristine, got their nakedness and got their parts, and they got things that are moving and working and showering and sweaty. Like, that's a place where you need to have a little bit of expected privacy. Be into your kink and do whatever it is that you do in your private time, not in a ladies' restroom.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like those kind of places, is because you go in the restrooms and the guys in there seem to love, maybe I'm going to the wrong clubs, but there's a lot of guys that seem to just love to just be naked. Like, it's very normal. They shave naked. They just I just want to go in there and use the restroom, and there's penises everywhere. And it's like, what the hell is this? I'm not saying they're gay. I don't care if they are. Brian, I wasn't in the military. I didn't play like collegiate sports or anything. People are comfortable. That's their business, but that's weird for me. But it would be, oh my God, terrifying if you're a woman and you have a man who's clearly has a penis in the wrong locker room, and he's somehow normalizing it as okay. But at the same time, they kind of did this to themselves. Brian, I don't know if you saw this commercial. This is a real Planet Fitness commercial.
Are you certain it's real, or is it parody? Let's full screen it and watch. I don't know what this is. I haven't seen this, so.
Okay, well, let's let this one roll. This looks like old. The quality's bad, but here we go.
Finish our tour with the locker rooms. After you.
No, after you.
Okay. Oh.
Had a tickle in my throat.
I don't know which one you're supposed to use.
Dum 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 dum. Cool.
Finish our tour.
Wow, they've done such a 180 on this. Or is this exactly what how do you interpret this? Holy shit, I do remember this video. I remember this commercial.
Oh, you've seen this, okay.
TV like 20 years ago. Back when Rancid was on the radio.
Right. So, and they did a Saturday Night Live skit years ago with Pat. That used to be the, is it a man or a girl, whatever. And there was a video where they set her up to, go into one of the restrooms, but then they cut to a commercial.
I don't know.
Right. So, but it seems like they've kind of invited this sort of thing. So, I mean, you almost can't blame that guy. They set this up. So anybody who's, LGBT community, and not anything personal, but, they've kind of given them the green light to use whatever restroom they want, but it's not appropriate in certain cases. I wouldn't say for everything, but what that woman saw and witnessed was wrong, over the line. She was in her rights to take pictures and to present that and to say no. And instead, Planet Fitness decided to go after her. And but the backlash has been swift, much like, Bud Light or with Target. There was a major boycott. They lost a lot of money. And we have to set a precedent for, drawing the line to not protect people that have like a mental illness. We can't go along with that just because you want to identify a certain way. It's not nothing personal, but it's just not appropriate. It's just principle, it's reason. and it has no place there. So anyway, there you go. As Dennis says, planet wokeness.
Yep, planet wokeness. And Deb was saying I would tell them that I identify as grossed out and offended. Yeah, guys who love being naked. I was listening to Adam Carolla talk about this on his show the other day. Like,
okay, so it's not just me or whatever. It's like a culture.
Man.
These gym bros. I can't stand gym bros. I do not want to be anything. I just want to keep my eyes focused, do my workout, not use the restroom, and then go home. I'm not showering there. I'm not using the restroom, period. That's kind of how I felt. Like,
so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bare ass and old man balls.
Yeah.
An unnecessary amount. You got a towel on. Use the towel, wrap yourself, go to your thing, you're in your flip-flops, maybe. If you're smart, you don't want to walk around barefoot there. But like, there's no need to just be whipping it out and like flaunting yourself. It's highly unnecessary. Now, I did go to oh God, what was it? Not sandals. What was the hedonism in Jamaica?
Oh.
They have a nude resort and a prude resort. Now, we were at the prude resort. We did not get the day passes for the nude resort. But in Jamaica, you can also go topless. You can there's a drink called a sex on the beach. And, sometimes anyway, but like,
no.
There's a time and a place. It seems to be unnecessary to have your junk, your old man balls floating around. It's like, now I don't usually shower at these places either. When I played football, I would change out of my shoulder pads. I'd put back some. I would go home and hop in my own shower. I don't want to be in like an open stall with 20 dudes like soaked up. And I don't know. Seems a little not my speed. It's just not my. It's just not my style, not my speed. And when I would go to where did I go to? LA Fitness on Overland, right around the corner where we used to live in Culver City. If I showered there, I would have my gym short. I would shower in my shorts. I would actually just shower up and you give it a nice once over, lather, clean out, shampoo the hair, and I would clean up, but I would have my shorts on. Everything
in high school. Right. In high school.
And then when I was done, I'd have a towel and I'd drop my shorts and I'd change out and I'd put some fresh boxers on and some fresh t-shirt and some deodorant and I'd go about my way. I was never once just flopping my junk around doing the helicopter move. Hey, fellas, look at me. Like I'm spinning around doing the helicopter move. Like there's no need for that. It's just, so I get you, man. Every gym I've been to, and I've worked out in a lot of places and been in a lot of locker rooms. It's kind of unnecessary. It really isn't necessary. In the saunas, man, when you go in and you got old man balls in the sauna, it's like, yeah. And it's like, on one hand, it's no big deal. On the other hand, it's super gross. Because it's just like one little layer of shorts that separates me from that guy. It's like, you don't need to. And then at LA Fitness, it would be a co-ed sauna. So like, at least in the co-ed sauna, I had a relatively high degree of certainty we wouldn't see naked balls. You wouldn't see old man junk, which I was a fan of not seeing that. So I liked that being like unisex. I liked having that just open to anyone. Yeah, but I mean, some people prefer having their saunas separate.
Well, if they were in like Sweden or something, yeah, then it would be just normal. Like, hey, we're all just naked. What's the big deal? You stuck up American. But yeah, it's a little unusual.
Time and a place, especially when there's allegedly, and I could be wrong about it, but if allegedly there's a 12-year-old in that locker room, like that is so gross. Trying to catch a peep, a peeping Tom, trying to get a couple of looky-loos, like you get out. So anyway, do what you will with your money. Nobody should be allowed to impose their dysfunctional ideas on others. Junk patrol. Deb from SAC is saying that. Yeah. So that's all we have for today's show, I suppose. But yeah, it is called modesty, and a little bit of that goes a long way. And like I said, I've jumped into hot tubs naked with multiple people before. I've gone skinny dipping. I've never streaked, I don't think. Like to each their own, but not with 12-year-old kids in like a Planet Fitness. Like it's just you've crossed a line. And the women's locker room is supposed to be a private space. And luckily now you're starting to see female athletes speaking up. Like you said, you're surprised. Why aren't more women speaking up? They are. They're now on the verge, it appears, of banning men from competing against women. Once again, man, I can't believe we're living in this
story in the stack too.
Say this out loud. What's that?
Oh, I almost had that story too. It was Riley Gaines on Piers Morgan, and then they had some weirdo on there who was like trying to normalize the idea that it's okay to have the men in women's sports.
Never okay. And it looks like a lot of, I don't know if it's collegiate. I'm not entirely sure which body it is, but I've been seeing the story that the past week, they really are starting to crack down to stop it from happening, to protect women in women's spaces. If women were as strong as the men, they would have never needed to be separated in the first place. You're doing it for their safety. And you're keeping creepos out of their locker room for their safety. You got a problem with that? Then I think you have a problem. That's not my problem. I think you have an issue, and we really need to find a way to kind of coexist in a way that doesn't make so many people uncomfortable, it seems. So,
all right, agreed. All right.
Agree. Perfect. Well, that's all we have for today's news. Blake, tell people where to find you, good sir.
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter X, and the archive will always be on thenextlevelnews.com.
Excellent. Did you fill out your brackets, by the way, on our way out the door? Who's in your Final Four?
What was it? I think I had like Auburn, Purdue, and maybe UConn, and I can't remember the other team. Is it Houston?
Houston was a 1 seed. They lost in their tournament. But, yeah, I saw this meme that was pretty funny. It was a guy that was struggling and it says, "This is me trying to fill out my NCAA bracket, knowing the name of only one college basketball player, Caitlin Clark." And it's like, with the one and dones now, like you don't get to see players like Jimmy Jackson on Ohio State back in the day. Like you don't get 3 or 4 years out of your players. You're lucky to get 1 year. It's like, I don't know who's who. You might be able to play, but it's kind of just throwing darts. But please enjoy March Madness out there for all of you participating in the festivities. Follow Blake. And yes, of course, make sure you're following the New American Media.
Who'd you pick, Brian?
What's that?
I was going to say, who'd you pick? I got Auburn, Arizona, Purdue, and Houston. Yeah. Easy picks.
I did not even fill one out. To be honest, I did not fill one out. I don't gamble. I don't want to, same reason I don't do heroin, same reason I don't do cocaine. I don't want to like any of this stuff too much. I don't want to end up a little too deep and over leveraged, and then I wake up in a bad spot. So I try not to gamble. So I just kind of, now I did like filling these out like in an office, if you're working in a spot and they're passing them around, it's $10 or something. Hey, Deb from SAC. No, thank you for watching. We're glad that you caught this today. I feel like the people that tune in regularly, you guys are, and girls, you're pretty cool people. It is a family gathering. We always love having you pull up a seat at the table while we talk about the news. But yeah, the games have started now, right, Blake? They are on right now.
Yeah, it started at 11 this morning. Yeah, Michigan State and Mississippi State, and they're going to be going on all day and all day tomorrow. Yeah, well, it's going to be 2 big days, and then Saturday, Sunday, and then we'll go to the Sweet 16 next Thursday.
Got that quick.
Are you the busiest weekend in Vegas too? I was
going to say, because you were so spoiled in Vegas, are you planning on watching at home, or is there some place like you can go and watch 10 games at once? Do you like doing that live, or do you like just like looking on your phone and flipping between CBS and ESPN or something?
I'm a huge, I do like March Madness. I will be watching it. Yeah, because especially when there's like 4 games on at a time, you can always find one that's got some good action on it. And I did bet on a few of the games, played a few parlays. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of March Madness. Football is really my favorite betting. But anyway,
Really?
So it's the last hurrah.
Yeah, if I ever do put a couple of ducats down on something, it'll usually be the Super Bowl. I do that. Maybe playoff football. At least I kind of have, I know the players, I know their history. Like I'm really keyed into that. Really, baseball and basketball at this point, especially college. I mean, no way am I going to put $10 down the toilet. No thanks. I don't know anything enough to consider myself smart enough. Now, if it's being officiated properly and the players aren't in on the rigging of the games, yeah, I could bet NFL football, maybe college football, but That's pretty much where it'll stop. So anyway, speaking of stopping, this is where we're stopping today. So we will release Blake. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good times as always. Follow him at TV's Blake Walley on X. And of course, the New American Media can't exist without you. So I want to just ask, if you like what we're doing, please connect with us on the other platforms. Those platforms are Truth Social. We don't have a lot of people there. Blake doesn't particularly care for the platform. However, if they successfully hamstring X and take it away from Elon, because you know they're trying, there's a full court press to take it away, Truth Social is the backup plan. So find the New American Media and connect with us on Truth Social, please. Our podcast, this show that you're watching, it will get put up usually as video form, sometimes as audio only, but on Spotify. So sign up for our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show. On Rumble, they are the backup for YouTube. YouTube.com/@thenewamericanmedia. That's 1,400 plus videos and 13 years of content. Awesome stuff. Please support us there. But when we expect that to fail, we're on Rumble. Go to the New American Media. We got to get 61 new subscribers on Rumble ASAP so that we can start streaming it through Rumble. I believe it's a 100-person follower count, and we're only at 39. So if you are out there and you're on Rumble, please just pause for 1 second, open another window, pull up another tab, The New American Media, subscribe to us, please. Now, Telegram, TNAM and TNAM Chat, find us there. That's a great backup for Facebook. On Facebook, there are two groups. One is the Agree to Disagree Show, and then the page is the New American Media. And of course, on Instagram, the New American Media. So please link up with us in all the places. And if every social media site gets shut down, thenewamericanmedia.com is where I will exclusively publish. Because look, we are living in crazy times. Deb from SAC, you got your daily dose of sanity today. So please make sure you're connected when inevitably we'll get silenced on Facebook, silenced on YouTube, shadow banned, demonetized. Link up with us in the other places. Oh yeah, speaking of monetized, what is that last one? Patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee or donate $100 or $10,000 a month, there are different tier levels for you if you have more money than time and you appreciate us calling the liars out and delivering you the filtered reality of this crazy world. Enjoy your March Madness. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.
Thank you.